Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to open up and disassemble this Dell Latitude 5590. So we're going to be using a JIS1 screwdriver, and we're just going to undo all the screws on the bottom. I believe these, the back screws probably hold themselves in place. Let's see. Yep. And that kind of helps with taking this thing apart. So you'll see why in a bit. Actually, this one doesn't pop the cover up, so we'll see. Alright, let's undo all the screws. It looks like actually all the screws are holding themselves in place, which is interesting. Usually it's only the back ones, but in this case it looks like all of them. Okay, let's see if the bottom ones, do they hold themselves? Yep. Okay. So this is actually a nice design. You won't lose the screws because they stay in place unless you take them out. Alright, so they actually have a little notch here for prying it up, I believe. So if you can get under there, you can see actually I can get my fingernail in there and pull up, and then we can actually lift up here. So this cover is super easy to remove. I don't know if you saw that. I just got my fingernail in this gap and then lifted it up. Okay, and then you kind of just wiggle this and there we go. So again, all these screws hold themselves in place. They don't use washers. What they do is the screws actually have a smooth edge at the top and then the threads just at the bottom. So if you did kind of pull on it while you unscrewed it, they will come out. So yeah, don't do that unless for some reason you really need to take out the screw, like maybe you stripped it or something. Okay, anyways, I'm brushing off the dust. There's not much dust in here either. Looks pretty clean. So there's a little bit, we'll clean that off. The customer actually just wanted me to replace their hard drive with, or not their hard drive, to upgrade their RAM. They actually do have an SSD in here. It looks like an M.2 PCIe NVMe. Actually, is it a SATA? This is actually a M.2 SATA SSD. I would assume it supports M.2 PCIe NVMe, but I don't want to experiment with this because it's a customer's computer and they don't need me to do anything like that. Alright, I don't know what this absorber area is for, but here you can see it says for LAE091 only. Okay, there's actually room for a hard drive here. If you have the hard drive caddy, you could technically fit a 2.5-inch SATA hard drive here. You'll also need the connector to plug that in. Alright, I don't know why this is so warm. It's not on, right? Make sure your computer's off before you start messing around with the internals. Okay, the battery here, it does plug in right here, and this kind of battery is a pull-up tab, so it has this tab, and then you just pull it straight up. I'm not going to mess with it. Again, the customer just needs me to replace the RAM. The battery model numbers here, GJKNX. All right, so GJKNX. You want to check your computer to make sure you have the same model. I have a feeling some might have an extra long battery here. Okay. We are just going to quickly go over what's inside. You have the speaker connector here, which runs down, connects to this speaker, and then a wire goes from that speaker to this one. So both speakers connect right there. To remove it, you grab the wings and you kind of just wiggle it and slowly pull it back. You have this little LED indicator light here, which connects up here with this flip latch. All right, there's also a flip latch here. I'm not sure what this is for, but this is the RTC real-time clock BIOS CMOS battery. Right, easy to remove and disconnect. You can see which way the wires, the red one's closer to the front and the black one's closer to the fan. So if you replace it, make sure you don't flip it upside down. Wireless card is here. You unscrew this with the JIS1 screwdriver. This metal plate comes off. The antennas come out by pulling straight up on the tail. You do want to hold down the wireless card as you pull up on the tail and it'll disconnect. They have a slot for a wide area network, WAN or whatever. Well, WAN, I don't know, WWAN, whatever that stands for. I'm not a network IT person, so I just do computer repairs or disassemblies and stuff like that. All right, but there's room for a card there. I think that's so if you can use a SIM card and use the mobile internet. Okay, it looks like the ports here are all part of the motherboard. Okay, there's no removable parts here. This plastic piece can come out, which has all these wire guides. Right, fan, 2 screws here. It looks like if you remove those 2 screws, you can actually pull the fan out. It doesn't look like you'd have to remove the heatsink. Connectors here, same thing. You grab the wings, wiggle it to pull it out. CPU is underneath here, soldered to the motherboard, so you can't upgrade it unless you're replacing the motherboard, or if you know how to do like reball stuff. But usually if you have to ask, you're not going to know how to, or you're not going to be able to do that. You need some special machinery. LCD LVDS connectors here, 2 screws. Once you remove that, you can pull this cable. Very important that you disconnect the battery first, this main battery, and then open up the computer, press and hold the power button at least 15 seconds before you do that, or you can fry this very easily. You can fry the cable, you can fry the screen, you can fry the backlight circuit on the motherboard. Yeah, it's not good. Anyways, the DC jack charge port, there's 1 screw here, then you can flip this metal plate off. It hooks over here, and then you can disconnect this by grabbing, wiggling, and pulling it out. Looks very simple to remove this charge port. Okay, doesn't look like anything's tucked underneath or screwed in, and everything else seems to be part of the motherboard. You do have this connector here, which is likely for the keyboard and trackpad, but I'm not going to mess around with that. Again, the customer just needed their RAM replaced, so let's go ahead now and do that. All right, RAM replacement is pretty simple. Hopefully they brought the right RAM because they bought it in advance. You pull these 2 tabs to the side and it comes up at an angle. Then you can go ahead and pull this out. You can see this is an 8 gig PC4 2400T. So hopefully they got the same 2400. They actually got faster RAM. So hopefully this is compatible. DDR4 3200. All right, we're going to go ahead and open this up. Okay, again, sometimes the speed, if you use a different speed, it's not going to be compatible. And usually you'll know because the computer won't boot up or it'll start beeping at you. Okay, to put the new RAM, just put it at an angle like this. All right, and then make sure it's pushed all the way in. I like to push it into the slot as I'm kind of wiggling it, and then click it down. Just like that, very simple. Same thing with this one. Make sure you have it the right way because the notch is closer to one side. All right, just like that, same thing, wiggle it, click it down. Okay, so we're done with the RAM. They upgraded from 8 gigs to 32, and we'll put that back in the box here. Okay, so very simple. We're gonna now just put the cover back on. Let's zoom out here. All right, this laptop was one of the easier ones to open up. Very simple, and you have access to most of the components: fan, charge port, LCD LVDS connector if you need to do anything with that. All right, you have access to the wireless card, BIOS, CMOS battery, regular battery. Everything seems pretty simple to access under here. Only thing is the keyboard is likely, actually the keyboard might be removable from the top, but I don't know. You'd have to remove a bunch of screws, most likely. I don't know. I'm not going to mess around with that. If you're lucky, it might just be some clips holding it in. But yeah, unless a customer has that for me to work on, I'm not going to really take that apart. So let's go ahead and get this back. So we're going to clip the bottom back in first, then work our way back up. Clip everything back in. All right, very nice and simple. Let's just go ahead now and screw back everything, put back all the screws, or tighten all the screws back down. All right, if this video helped you out, make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. And if it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. And I'm serious about every little bit helps, even if you can just send like a penny. If 1,000 people sent me a penny, that's $10. All right, so yeah, with all the viewers I have, yeah, it would help a lot. Anyways, let's just get all these screws back. If you can't contribute, even just commenting on the channel helps out. Because YouTube, their algorithms kind of like looks for, what do you call it, interactivity or something, to make sure if people are kind of taking part and interested in your videos. So yeah, if it helped, please consider helping out that way or those ways. And yeah, let's go ahead and see if this powers up. I probably should have waited to put the screws back in, because if it doesn't power up, if it just beeps, then I'm gonna have to change it back. But let's go ahead and see. Hopefully it'll be okay. So far nothing's on the screen. There's no beep sounds or anything. Hard drive light's not coming up. So I don't know. This RAM might not be compatible. We're gonna leave it for a bit. Sometimes it takes a while for it to detect the RAM and process it, and there we go, it's starting up. So here you can see amount of system memory changed. So press F1 to retry the boot, and hopefully we should be okay. Alright, so it does work with the different speed RAM. So yeah, we should see the little spinning thing and we should be good to go. So that's pretty much it. Again, hopefully this video helped you out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Alright, let's drop this. Bye.